Men, listen closely. You're worried about things that don't even matter to the woman who truly sees you. Let's unveil what's real and finally free your mind from what's not. There's a silent war most men are fighting, and it's not with the world, it's with the mirror, with the bank account, with the scale, with the voice in their head that whispers, "You're not tall enough, not rich enough, not strong enough." You walk into rooms thinking you have to prove something. You compare, you shrink. You assume she's looking at what you lack, when the truth is, she's not even focused on the things you're obsessing over. Because the real insecurities you carry, most women don't care about them. Not the way you think. It's time to drop the weight of false beliefs. It's time to understand what truly makes you desirable in the eyes of a woman. And it's not your height, hairline, or income. It's your energy, your confidence, your self-respect. This is not a message for boys. This is a wake-up call for men. Let's unveil what's really on her mind and what she actually values in you. Hebhuk, the false standard of masculinity. There's an invisible measuring tape that society holds against every man. It's not for his heart, not for his values, not even for his vision. It's for one thing, his height. From a young age, men are told, directly or indirectly, that the taller they are, the more desirable they become. That somehow their worthiness is tied to inches they have no control over. Movies, dating apps, and pop culture have built this silent standard. You've seen it. Must be 6 feet or taller to swipe right. Tall, dark, and handsome. As if tallness is a moral achievement. The villain is short. The hero towers over crowds, and if you're not tall, you start shrinking, not physically, but spiritually. You begin to question, am I enough? Will she even look at me? Let me say this with complete certainty. Your height is not your limitation. Your belief about it is. The confidence equation. You see, women don't fall in love with statistics. They fall in love with stories, with experiences, with connection. And the man who walks into a room knowing who he is, even if he's 5'5", will dominate the energy over a man who's 6'2" but full of doubt and self-loathing. Because the truth is, height might grab her attention, but it's confidence that holds her gaze. I've seen it happen over and over. A man shorter than average walks in, and within minutes, he owns the space. Why? Because he's not apologizing for his size. He's not slouching. He's not trying to overcompensate. He's just being himself, powerfully, authentically, fully. Real attraction runs deeper. Here's what most men don't realize. Women are not as shallow as the world wants you to believe. They care far less about your height than you do. When a woman feels emotionally safe with you, when she sees your vision, your ambition, your consistency, you could be standing on a pile of bricks or barefoot on the ground, and she'll still feel elevated in your presence. She doesn't want a man who's tall in body but short in courage. She doesn't want someone who reaches the ceiling but can't reach her emotionally. She wants depth, not height. She wants a man who can be present, who listens, who acts, who leads. And if you're obsessed with being taller, you might just miss the chance to show her how deep you really are. The psychology of presence. So let's talk about presence. You want to seem taller? Then stop focusing on your inches. Start focusing on your energy, your posture, your voice, your stillness. A man becomes larger when he stops chasing approval and starts standing firm in his identity. Speak with conviction, dress with intention, Dress in a way that expresses power. Look people in the eye. These things create gravity. And that's what women are drawn to. Not your height, but your gravitational pull. And let's be honest, no one remembers the exact height of the man who changed their life. They remember how he made them feel. Redefining masculinity. Masculinity isn't found in numbers. It's found in your integrity, your protection, your stability, your emotional discipline. So ask yourself, are you standing tall in your beliefs? Are you grounded in your purpose? Are you walking into relationships from a place of fullness, not fear? Because that's the man who gets noticed, regardless of how tall he stands physically. And one more thing. Any woman who judges you purely for your height isn't emotionally mature enough for the kind of love you're capable of giving. Let her go. She's not the standard. She's the distraction. The right woman doesn't want you taller. She wants you honest. She wants you secure. She wants you present, not 6 feet above the ground, but fully grounded in who you are. So the next time you look in the mirror and feel like you're falling short, remember this. You were never created to compete with someone else's frame. You were created to stand firm in your own. Hair is just a number. Presence is power. And the man who walks in his truth doesn't need to stand taller. He already rises above. Let's talk about something most men don't want to admit out loud. Hair loss. That first moment when you see the thinning at your crown, that slow retreat of your hairline, that feeling of panic when the barber goes quiet like he doesn't want to confirm what you already know, and suddenly you begin to spiral. You start believing you're losing your youth, your attractiveness, your identity. You think, women won't want me if I go bald. Let me break this illusion for you right now. It's not the hair. It's your fear of losing it that's killing your confidence. And confidence, not hair, is what makes a man unforgettable. Baldness is not a weakness. The world has lied to you. It has convinced you that baldness equals decline, defeat, and disqualification from desire. But let me remind you, some of the most powerful, respected, and undeniably attractive men in the world are bald. Dwayne Johnson, Jason Statham, Vin Diesel, Pitbull. These men walk into a room and own it. Not because they have hair, because they don't care. Because they decided, this is who I am, and I like it. And that energy, that quiet, grounded confidence, that's what women find sexy. Not your hairline, your self-assurance. Women feel your insecurity more than they see your hair. Here's what most men don't realize. Women are far more sensitive to your energy than your looks. They may notice your appearance, but they're always scanning for something deeper. How do you feel about yourself? Are you hiding under hats, avoiding mirrors, apologizing for aging, or worse, shrinking away from them altogether? Because it's not the bald head that turns women off. It's the man who acts like going bald means he's lost something. That insecurity is what she notices. That quiet self-doubt, the drop in your voice, the way you hesitate to take photos. That's what creates emotional distance. Not your reflection, your relationship with your reflection. Reinvention is attractive. Hair loss isn't the end of your story. It can be the beginning of a reinvention. What if this was your chance to evolve? Shave it off, shape your beard, upgrade your wardrobe, hit the gym, redefine your look, your posture, your style. Become the kind of man who doesn't just go bald, but goes bold. Do you know how attractive that is to a woman? A man who adapts, a man who embraces change with confidence, a man who refuses to let insecurity lead his life. She doesn't want perfection, she wants presence. She doesn't care if your head shines in the sun, she cares if you shine in your spirit. This isn't about hair, this is about how you respond to change. Do you collapse under it or rise through it? Stop comparing, start becoming. Let's face it, you've probably scrolled past younger, fuller-haired influencers on social media and thought, I'll never look like that again. Good, but because you're not meant to look like them. You're meant to look like a man who's lived, learned, and grown into his own. There's a depth to you now, a quiet strength, a matured masculine energy that no 22-year-old pretty boy can fake. And if hair loss is part of that evolution, so be it. You are not your hair, you are not your past, you are not your Instagram filter, you are who you decide to be. And when you walk like that, talk like that, exist like that, no woman worth your time will ever wish you looked like someone else. She'll want you exactly as you are, because you love yourself exactly as you are. Final reality check. So let me say it plainly. Hair loss does not make you unattractive. Insecurity does. And confidence, real confidence, is about ownership. Own your look, own your look, own your energy, own your journey. Because the man who owns himself becomes irresistible. Not for what's on his head, but for what's in his spirit. So to every man looking in the mirror, counting strands, and fearing rejection, stop asking, will she still like me if I go bald? Start asking, do I like me enough to not care? Because when you do, you stop trying to be what the world wants and start being the man she never saw coming. Let's talk about something most men carry in silence, but carry deeply. Money, not just earning it, but what it means. Because somewhere along the way you were taught that your value as a man is directly tied to your income, not your integrity, not your emotional intelligence, not your character, just your paycheck. You learned early that if you can't provide, you don't deserve. And if you don't have enough, you are not enough. So you grind, you hustle, you overwork, not always for abundance, but to prove that you are worthy of being loved, and that is a burden no one sees. The masculine money myth. Let's expose the myth. You've been made to believe that women only want men with money, that unless you drive a certain car, wear certain brands, or have high value in your bank account, you'll always be behind in the dating game. So you shrink when your finances dip. You avoid relationships when your pockets are tight. You tell yourself, let me get my money right first, then I'll be enough. But let me ask you this. What if you're already enough, even as you're building? What if a woman's respect isn't tied to how much you have, but how you carry yourself in the process? Because real women, emotionally mature women, are looking for something deeper than digits. They're looking for direction. A broke man with vision is more powerful than a rich man with no purpose. She doesn't want your money, she wants your mission. Here's what most men don't realize. A woman isn't trying to live off you, she's trying to build with you. But she can't build with someone who's so ashamed of where he is financially, he refuses to be emotionally present. It's not the money she's watching, it's the man. How do you handle pressure? How do you treat yourself when you're losing? How do you speak about your dreams when you're still climbing? A woman doesn't just want a provider, she wants a partner in purpose. So instead of hiding behind your struggles, open up about them. Let her see the real you, the man who's building something authentic, not performing for approval. Because integrity earns more respect than income ever will. The dangerous pressure to prove. Many men destroy their emotional peace trying to prove they're good enough through money. They date above their means. They lie about their lifestyle. They suffer in silence, afraid that if they show financial vulnerability, they'll lose the woman they love. But here's the truth. If a woman only values you when your wallet is full, she was never really with you. She was with the benefits. You don't need that kind of love. You need a woman who sees your grit, not just your gifts. A woman who respects your ambition, not just your assets. Because what's the point of making money if you lose your soul trying to impress someone who doesn't love you for who you are? It's not the money, it's the mindset. A man who earns little but walks with purpose is more attractive than a rich man who is insecure, arrogant, or emotionally unavailable. It's not the number in your account, it's the belief in your voice. Do you believe in yourself? Do you carry yourself like a man who's going somewhere? Can you provide peace, not just provision? Because peace is a currency too, and a rare one. If you're constantly measuring your worth by your income, you will always feel like you're falling short. But if you measure your growth, your effort, your honesty, your persistence, then you realize you're not just making money, you're becoming a man of value. And that is what truly matters. Final truth. The woman who's meant for you won't price you. Let me leave you with this. A high-quality woman doesn't need a millionaire. She needs a man who knows who he is and where he's going. She'll help you build, she'll pray for your business, she'll ride through the valley because she sees the mountain in your mind. But she can't stand beside you if you're too ashamed to let her see you struggle. So stop hiding, stop pretending, stop equating your manhood with money. You are not your income, you are your impact. You are your integrity. The real battle isn't about how much you have. It's about how much of yourself you're willing to bring to the table when you have nothing. Because if you can love yourself in your lowest financial season, you will become unshakable when abundance comes. And the woman who's meant for you, she's not waiting at the finish line. She's ready to walk with you right now. If only you'd believe you're already enough. There's a pain most men carry, but they rarely talk about it. It's the kind of pain that creeps in when he takes his shirt off in front of a mirror. It whispers when he walks past a gym. It echoes when she casually compliments another man's physique. It's the shame of not being enough, physically. And it's not just about being too skinny or too big. It's deeper. It's about what his body represents in a world where manhood is tied to being strong, muscular, and impenetrable. You see, society has sold men this message. You are only a man if you're hard-bodied, stone-faced, and emotionally bulletproof. But that message is a lie, and it's leaving millions of men drowning in silence. When the mirror becomes your enemy, every man has, at some point, stood in front of the mirror and asked, "Am I attractive enough? Will she want me if I look like this? Do I measure up?" But here's the tragedy. Most of them never say it out loud, because vulnerability for men has been labeled as weakness. So instead, they joke about their bellies. They hide under oversized shirts. They avoid intimacy when the lights are on, all the while pretending it doesn't bother them. But it does. It hurts. And that hurt turns into anger, self-hate, overcompensation, or complete emotional shutdown. Women are attracted to truth, not perfection. Here's what men don't understand. Women do not expect you to be perfect. They don't need washboard abs, arms like a Marvel superhero, or a Hollywood jawline. They need something real. They need to feel safe in your presence, physically and emotionally. And safety doesn't come from muscle. It comes from presence. Raw. How you make her feel when she's near you. Ron, how grounded, how honest, how whole you are, even in your imperfections. A man who can take off his shirt and own his body without apologizing is more attractive than a man who hides behind muscles but has no confidence in his soul. The trap of comparison. Let's talk about what's really killing men silently. Comparison. Social media floods you with filtered bodies, fake abs, gym bros flexing 24/7. You start thinking that unless you look like them, you don't stand a chance. That unless you fit the ideal male form, you're invisible. But here's the truth. You're not in competition with the world. You're in a relationship with yourself. The only body you need to work on is the one you live in, not for validation, not for likes, but because you deserve to feel strong in your own skin. Not every woman wants a man who's physically perfect, but every woman wants a man who feels good about who he is. You don't need to be the fittest man in the room. You need to be the man who walks in and owns his presence, flaws and all. Emotional strength is masculine. The second part of this conversation is even deeper, emotional vulnerability. Because if body image is the first wall men hide behind, emotional silence is the fortress they die in. You were told, don't cry, be tough, man up. So you buried your fears, you masked your anxiety, you learned how to suffer quietly. And now you're praised for how much pain you can hide. But let me say this, emotional numbness is not masculinity, it's trauma, and it's keeping you from real connection, especially with women, because a woman doesn't want a man who's cold and shut down. She wants a man who can feel, who can express, who can let her in without fear of looking weak. Your emotional vulnerability is not a liability. It's a superpower. A man who can say, I'm not okay right now. I've been struggling with self-worth. It's not soft. He's free. You are more than your body. Let's get one thing straight. You are not your waist size. You are not your chest. You are not your height or your shape or the scars you carry. You are your courage. You are your truth. You are your authentic self. When no one's watching and the filters are off, the right woman is not looking for the best body. She's looking for the most real man. And that man, he shows up. He's but even more committed to where he's going. He loves himself enough to not let shame keep him small. So to every man who's ever felt unworthy because of his body, to the man who's afraid to be vulnerable, to the man who's been told real men don't feel, listen to me. You are allowed to feel. You are allowed to be seen. You are allowed to be soft and still strong. You are allowed to not have it all together and still be deserving of love. Because at the end of the day, she's not looking for the most perfect man. She's looking for the man who's not afraid to be himself. And that's you. If you're brave enough to show up as you truly are, you've spent too long believing lies. Lies that told you your manhood was measured in inches, dollars, abs, or silence. But the truth? You are not your insecurities. You are not your paycheck. You are not your body type or your flaws or the hair that left your head years ago. You are who you decide to become. A man of value. A man of presence. A man who stops performing and starts showing up. Because real attraction doesn't come from perfection. It comes from authenticity. She doesn't want a perfect man. She wants a present man, a man rooted, clear, whole. So this is your moment, not to impress her, but to free yourself, to let go of who you think you should be and fully embrace who you already are. Because the day you stop fighting your insecurities is the day you become the man she never saw coming.